Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account from the relationship advice subreddit and says, my 33 male, wife 31 female is having an emotional affair. Is divorce the right option? And just to mention, as always, this is a story with multiple updates on it as well, but now comes with a final update. So if you want to skip certain parts of the story because you've heard it before, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and in the timeline below. And another warning as well, trigger warning, this has talk of suicidal ideation within the story, so you know where those timestamps are. Thank you. A few days ago, I noticed my wife deleting a text thread, which is something she has never done. I decided to check her laptop as texts go through there, and I was shocked to find that she was having a sexually explicit conversation with a co-worker who also happens to be married and just had a child a few months ago. For context, we've been together for about 13 years and married for 4. We both work in demanding jobs in healthcare. Like any couple, we've had plenty of ups and downs. The last couple of years have really been a rut. It has felt like we're constantly more irritable with each other. Our intimacy has been nearly dead for a while now, and however, we both felt this may be part of depression and hormonal issues that we were having and working on. Another issue that bothers me is that the entirety of our relationship is made jabs at how men always cheat, and I will someday cheat on her. Her previous relationship before me ended with her boyfriend living a complete second life with a different woman. She used to go through my phone when she felt I was texting a particular female too much. Given all that, the situation just enrages me. This co-worker of hers has always been a close friend for the last 3 years. It's been obvious in the past that he has had a crush on my wife, but I have never seen any evidence that it was reciprocated. He has sent suggestive texts in the past and she had shut it down and insisted he likes to get a rise out of people. In the last few days, I have seen texts of the two of them complaining about their sex lives, talking about how much they want to have sex with each other, sending nudes, etc. He's even sent an explicit photo with part of his wife's face in it, claiming he wishes it was my wife. There's been a lot of complaining about me and about his partner and how we do not sexually gratify them. She's been trying to stay on top of deleting threads, but often does not think to delete the stuff from bedtime to overnight. I'm fairly confident nothing physical has happened yet. Part of me feels guilty for this. I have not been a perfect husband by any means. I've always been the one to do all the chores at home, care for the pets, cook, do our laundry, etc. I will admit though that I am not the most emotionally available husband. I'm just not a cuddler or overly sexual person. I understand this affair is her choice and not mine, but I do feel like I've pushed her into this, and I feel the guilt of it. My problem is that I do not know how to approach this. At first I was shocked and angry. Now I am numb and emotionless. Part of me feels the writing was on the wall for this marriage a while ago, and this is the final blow. Our family lives are insanely intertwined. We literally share the same friend group. I don't know if I should just be trying to move out and figure things out, or if I should be getting a divorce at this point. I know I will be gaslit when I finally confront her, and I don't even know how to confront her. I also don't know if I should tell the other guy's wife. I feel guilty given they've just had a baby. Reading this back, I understood I probably looked like an idiot for not already having left, but I am struggling. Edits, we do not have kids, just pets. The relationship felt like it was going south for a few years now, but this was completely unexpected. I truly do not know if this is something I can forgive and move past or not. Edit 2. Another big issue of mine is the amount of disrespect thrown at me in those chats that she laughed along at. Me washing her panties that he got soaked, or making them dinner while he blows her back out. I don't know if that is something I will ever get over. I'm a non-confrontational, pretty go-with-the-flow guy, but these jokes are pretty foul. Even if I get over the sexting crap, it is hard to process how she can laugh along at stuff like that. Bloody hell, the projection at the start of this story was the red flag all along, right? Your wife has spent, years accusing you of being a future cheater, policing your texts with female friends, and making jabs about men being unfaithful? when she's the one doing it. And to be quite frank, I wouldn't feel guilty about the choices that she's made in this situation. You're sitting there feeling guilty because you're not a cuddler. You're saying, well, she seems to be sending nudes and laughing about disrespecting you behind your back. Nothing that you did or didn't do in this situation made her do this. She could have talked to you. She could have had couples therapy, even just left if she had had enough. But for me in this, I can only speak for myself because obviously I don't know this chap, but I would never be able to come back from that. Imagine seeing those texts, the stuff that they've been texting to each other in this, mocking OP. There's no coming back from that. But a commenter says something a little bit different. They said, most people commenting seem to think all the blame falls on your wife. I think you were wise to recognize the ways you've also failed in your marriage. It takes two for a marriage to disintegrate. I think the best way to determine if your marriage can be saved is to talk to your wife about what you read and state the things you wrote here about the ways you wish you'd behaved differently. Tell her you love and value her and want to work on improving things. Suggest couples therapy. If she really loves you, she will come around. Not sure how I feel about that one, to be honest, but OP replied saying, a big issue of mine is the amount of disrespect thrown at me in those chats that she laughed along at. Me washing her panties that got soaked or making dinner while he blows her back out. I don't know if that's something I will ever get over. I'm a non-confrontational, pretty go-with-the-flow guy, but these jokes are pretty foul. Another commenter says, an emotional affair is just a physical affair that just hasn't got physical yet. Here's the deal, my guy. Cheating is a choice. If the marriage is no longer working for her, she could have chosen to communicate to you or chosen to file for divorce and move on. Instead, she sought out an emotional affair and chose to cheat on you. Stop acting like this is your fault. Cheating is never the fault of the person who got cheated on, even if the relationship is not as good as it could be. The choice to cheat, and it is a choice, falls on the person who chose to step outside of monogamy instead of trying to fix the problems or simply moving on. File for divorce, move on with your life, and stop beating yourself up. Marriages fail for all sorts of reasons, but none of those reasons justify cheating. So it was a week after that OP came in with an update and said, I ended up having the confrontation early last week. It wasn't exactly when I had planned it, but she knew something was up and I had emotionally checked out over the few days leading up to it. Some background info I learned / not provided in the original post. The texting had gone on about a week total. It turns out I had discovered it pretty early on, although they have texted a lot for the last few years. I've seen them in the past, and there was nothing like this / genuinely just work-related stuff. There was also a lot of remarks about the intimacy between us fizzling out, indicating that it may be a sign of the affair being physical. Our intimacy has dried out for the last year or so. We chalked it up to stress, work, hormones, depression up to this point. In terms of the confrontation, there was no arguing or fireworks. I laid out a lot of grievances about the betrayal and the incredible disrespect I felt. I also pointed out the rage I felt over the hypocrisy of accusing all men of cheating for years. She swore up and down that nothing physical occurred between them. I get it is naive of me to believe it, but for various reasons, I do. When I initially threatened to tell the other guy's wife was when the first wave of defensiveness began. She begged me not to ruin their family with a new baby and focus on fixing our marriage instead. I was also told how the other betrayed spouse will definitely tell all their co-workers, and now both her home life and work life will be ruined. They are both contractually bound to working together for the next 5 years. Residency. Her reasoning was that I have not made her feel desired / like a woman in a long time. That she gave in to hormones as he was saying things that made her feel craved. Multiple times I did feel like the situation was minimized. Statements such as, nothing physical happened, it was just sexting, have not sat well with me. I also felt like I was being blamed for this. To clarify, we have talked in the past about trying to be more romantic and stuff of that sort. I still feel like that does not mean doing this crap is acceptable. I admitted plenty of my shortcomings during the confrontation, but also reaffirmed that what she did was so insanely wrong. I also reached out to the guy. He was clearly panicked and swore up and down nothing physical happened. He begged me not to tell his wife and ruin his life. He claimed his son is his entire world, which I rebuffed by saying all he did was complain about him to my wife. Not long after, he blocked me on everything and was texting my wife to not let your husband move out, and is he going to ruin my life now? I wish I could say that I took my pets and stormed off and moved out like I dreamt up in my head. Sadly, all I did was move out of our room and demand time and space. She's been saying she will respect that, but has been persistently approaching me asking to talk about our marriage for the last several days. My emotions have ranged from complete rage to completely dead inside. I've just been working or in bed sleeping for 14 hours a day at this point. I know I'm checked out at this point. I've been fighting passive suicidal ideation, wishing for a car to crash into me or just to not wake up. I can assure all that I have no active plans of self-harm, and that is not the point of this post. I feel like my entire life has been turned upside down. I recently established with a therapist for the first time in my life. Plenty of childhood trauma for terrible parents, and she has been telling me that I am mourning a life I thought I had. Truthfully, I'm just over all of this and everything. I've definitely just got into self-protection mode now. A few days ago, she asked me if I'd be willing to see a marriage counselor with her. I begrudgingly agreed. During our first session, I admitted I'm unsure if I want to save this marriage or not. I was not a very active participant, as I was quite checked out. It has only been like 3 days since confrontation. We have more appointments coming up. I've told her I'm unsure I will ever get over this betrayal. I've also told her it is clear we have significant incompatibilities. She's been begging me to try, as we've been together for so long, so clearly something works about us. She's been trying to be affectionate the last couple of days and getting me to reciprocate. Hold her hand, give a kiss, compliment her, etc. I've not told the other guy's wife yet. I've not decided if I will or won't. Morally, I know the absolute correct decision is to tell her. However, as mad as I am at my wife, I'm not trying to just ruin her entire life. I'm not out to get revenge on people. I grew up with enough confrontation, and I'm definitely not a non-confrontational person now. I've also not ruled out telling her yet, but I'm just thinking on it. I apologize for how much this post is just a rambling mess. All in all, emotionally, I feel dead inside. I've lost all joy in my life, and I'm just doing the motions. I do not know if I'll ever be able to get over this to save the marriage, and I do not know if I want to save the marriage. Our lives are just so intertwined that splitting will be such a difficult and miserable process. My closest friend is the only person who knows, and they've made it clear that divorce would be their only choice if they were in my shoes. I'm lucky to have had their support during this, but I do feel guilty for just trauma dumping the situation. I know most replies will be that I should have already started the divorce process, and I wish it was that easy. I will value advice, and I know quite a few people have asked for updates. I definitely miss a lot of info, and will try to reply as I can. Thank you. Edit. For clarification, yes, I have a large chunk of these texts documented and saved. I do not know if I will ever get over this. When I told her that I don't know if I'll get past this, she told me how she knows that I hold grudges against people. References my poor relationship with my parents these days. I definitely feel like there's been minimizing of the situation, but she frames it as trying to move forward and learn from the situation. Next edit. I also just learned that he texted her last night to complain about some work situation to her. I was told they were completely done speaking to each other, but it turns out the only person getting blocked is him blocking me after I confronted him. So the commenters flowed in after this. The first one said this: "He is probably cheating with multiple people, not just your wife. You are saving that woman from a lifetime of cheating and saving his kid from seeing it." Commenter replies saying he could be, but that's a big leap. To be clear, I'm not suggesting the correct action is any different. We don't wait for a murderer to do it 3 times before we lock them up, if we catch them the first time. Commenter replies to that saying, to add to the affair partner, is it possible the OP's wife has done this in the past as well? OP replies saying, yeah, this is the doubt that has started to creep into my mind. I always felt secure in she'd been so traumatized from her previous boyfriend cheating on her. But there was always these ridiculous accusations at me that I will cheat one day. Now I wonder if that was insecurity or a guilty conscience. Another commenter says, I think the moral injury you're setting yourself up for will forever overshadow your relationship if you don't tell other betrayed spouse, even in the off chance you reconcile. Protecting those who betrayed you isn't the right choice here. You're not ruining anything. That's already done. OP says, yeah, I'm wrestling with this a lot. I do think I will tell her, it's just figuring out how I want to approach this. OP on getting therapy said, yeah, I just started with a therapist a week ago, so I'm hoping to make some progress there. Another commenter says, you say they are contractually forced to work together. That is not true. She can quit, right? She needs to make some steps to fix the issue. Losing a job should be a simple thing to do. There may be penalties, etc., but is it worth it to her to break your marriage further? Opie says there are massive financial implications of leaving the job that she literally cannot afford. Commodore replies saying, is he still texting your wife after the confrontation? Opie replies saying, so I just learned that he texted her yesterday complaining about some work situation. I was initially told they're completely cutting off all contact outside of required in-work stuff. Clearly, a lie. Commenter replies saying, fellow med spouse here. Are you also a physician? If so, then you should know how these things go. They're going to be around each other all the time. And she's already trickle-truthed you and is now lying about their communication. She isn't thinking about you in the slightest. You know what you have to do. Also tell the other spouse. Opie replies saying, yep, I'm in fellowship for palliative care, and she's still in residency. Opie, on saving evidence, said, yes, I have everything saved in multiple devices, partly because I couldn't even process what I was reading in the moment. Opie on his wife blocking the affair partner. Opie said, I brought it up today in therapy. She told me she thinks it is unreasonable to completely cut out someone she sees and work with on a daily basis and has to talk to for patient care. Yeah, I know, massive red flag. The therapist agreed demanding him to be cut off is reasonable. The therapy session today was a joke. Multiple times the therapist said my point was completely reasonable, and she just kept getting upset. She outright said completely blocking this guy off is unreasonable due to work. Constantly keeps saying she is being punished when I say I'm struggling to get past this affair. And tons of why my shortcomings resulted in this affair. Someone said, do you have kids? Opie says, no kids. And for me in this, before we go to the next update, it just sounded worse than the original post. Like the therapy session being a disaster, like Opie said. I personally don't think it's unreasonable to have her move away from the affair partner at all. You know, again, consequences. But she's not even pretending to prioritize this marriage at all. And talking about being punished. Are you kidding me? She cheated, got caught, and now, again, is facing consequences. But this feels like a punishment to her. You know, there's just no remorse there, is there? It's almost like she's just annoyed at being inconvenienced. And the affair partner still texting her about work situations. My ass. Opie came in with another post that said, I truly feel like I've hit my breaking point. I feel completely numb half the time, and the other half, there is a deep, raging self-hatred. I despise who I am and my life. My entire life, I've been told nothing but what my faults are. Perfectionist, abused parents who never once helped me build any pride, but only tore down any accomplishments. I recently found out my partner of 14 years was having an affair with a co-worker, and I've been processing that as well. Seeing all their texts and her reasoning only validated all those thoughts about how everything I touch or do is a failure. I almost have no true, reliable friends. The worst part is I have a large group of fair weather friends who are around when times are great. If I confide in somehow how I'm feeling, I can just feel the disgust and repulsion. I work in a fairly depressing field in medicine. I get fulfillment from my job, but it's constant death. A non-insignificant amount of my co-workers think my speciality shouldn't even exist and that we just hold patients' hand and listen to them cry. I find myself coming home from work and just sleeping. I know I'm depressed. I've always been depressed. I'm on antidepressants. I recently started therapy, but I just feel dead. I go to sleep every night praying I don't wake up. I drive to work hoping someone swerves at my car. Literally anything to end this shit. I'm so sick and tired of my life. I'm so sick and tired of nothing but my faults being front and center. My pets are probably the only thing keeping me going at this point because they rely on me to be fed. Otherwise, I have nothing. I'm not looking for a pity party or anything. I just can't do this anymore. So Opie adds another update and says, I've received a lot of messages asking about updates. I will like the original post and I will link the original post and first update below. For background, we've been together for 13 years and married for 4. No kids. She does seem to be showing true remorse recently. She's been very open about how badly she messed up and destroyed all our trust. I can't say whether this remorse has moved me at all. I still feel checked out. I've just been coming home from work and sleeping the rest of the day. She tries to get me to cuddle or hug her, but honestly, I just feel so empty at this point, it's just going through the motions. I do actually feel bad about how I've been, but this has just struck me so deeply at this point. She's broken off all contact, it seems, with the other guy. She blocked him on everything and avoids him at work, according to her. I've told her that I'm always going to have this bit of distrust in the back of my mind now. We've been continuing therapy, but honestly it just feels like it's her trying to justify the circumstances that led to the affair. We've clearly identified a lot of huge incompatibilities in our relationship. She wants to fight and change and be stronger, and I just don't even respond still. I feel like this affair validated so many self-doubts. My entire childhood was spent being screamed at about how everything I did was wrong, and now it feels like I'm being told what I did wrong to lead to being cheated on. Sometimes it seems like she understands the gravity, and sometimes she's trying to minimize it so we can move forward. The last few weeks have been awful. I've been struggling between being completely numb and seething with self-hatred. I've not felt this lonely in my life since I was a kid. I've been confiding with 2 friends, but at this point, I feel like it's just pushing them away, so I won't be anymore. I'm surrounded by a larger group of fair-weather friends who can't be depended on for anything. My family will never understand divorce, as in this stupid immigrant culture, you tolerate anything to stay married. I'm just crumbling from the inside and don't even feel like I have the strength to make a decision. I go to sleep every night hoping I don't wake up, as I just want out of this now. Swallowing the pill that essentially half my life has been thrown away is unbearable. I recognize how easy it is to say that divorce is the right choice, but it doesn't make anything easier. Apologies for rambling. So these posts, up to this point, was made into a best of Redditor updates post, and it was compiled, and OP showed up within that thread and left a comment there saying, I just wanted to give an update about the situation. The last month has had me in a very dark place. I've continued to feel like there's many moments of minimizing what happened and many moments of true remorse. I became paralyzed by the stress and shut down. This week I made a decision to move out. I packed the essentials and booked a hotel. Her parents paid a huge chunk of that house, so I'm not asking her to leave. I've begun reflecting on everything, and I see that our relationship has been trying to get past some horrible incompatibilities. I finally have my answer that divorce is the right option. We are not happy together. She cheated, and I'll never get over that. She's begging not to, but I will be telling her that I am done. And for the affair partner's wife, I will tell her too. And then it was 11 days after that previous update that OP came in again with their final update. It says, hello everyone. A lot of people message me and I appreciate the support. The last month has been pretty goddamn miserable to say the least. Regarding telling the other guy's wife, she knows now. Turns out he was texting similarly with 2 other nurses at the hospital and she had caught him. She then found text messages from my wife he had saved on his phone. We spoke briefly and I apologized for not telling her sooner. But yeah, she knows. Regarding my marriage, every single day I waffle between divorce or not. There are some days where it feels like she's being accountable and some days where there are nasty arguments. She still gets mad when I say cheating as nothing physical happened. She still gets mad when I make it seem like it's all her fault and I didn't contribute to it. Lol. Yesterday she told me that she should have fucked him so at least she would have gotten something out of it. Today she blew up on me for saying I'm not being accountable for what I did to lead to this happening. Yeah, not exactly the shining example of accountability. She told a few of our friends and her family a very half-assed story which excluded the affair entirely, and that blamed me almost exclusively. It's gotten to the point where one person said it felt like a PR campaign. She's shown her true colors whenever I tell her we aren't going to recover. She's shown how nasty and vile she can get. I won't list the countless other examples. Anyway, yeah, I know plenty of people will feel like I'm being a coward not having left already. I don't know why I'm having this stupid paralysis with it. I do feel bad as our pets were devastated when I temporarily moved out. I know that's not an excuse, but every stupid little thing weighs on me. It's hard throwing away 13 years like this, but if any of my friends came to me with this, I would recommend divorce. Hopefully I grow a pair and just pull the band-aid off soon. I appreciate everyone's kind messages that I've gotten. Ugh, that sentence in that last update, she should have fucked him so at least she would have gotten something out of it. Mate, when someone shows you exactly who they are in those moments, absolutely believe them. That's not remorse, that's resentment that she got caught before having her fun. All she's angry at is the consequences. She's not ashamed of the actions that she's done. Every step of the way, she's been absolutely awful. And I think like always, it's very easy for anyone on the other side of the screen to look at this and say, divorce, divorce, divorce. You know, I would suggest that to any friend in this particular situation. I think anyone would. And OP knows that. But actually living it, I think, is a very, very different experience. And OP's not a coward. A palliative care doctor dealing with death daily, raised by what it sounds like abusive parents, processing that trauma as well. And your wife weaponized that every cruel voice in your head that was saying that you're not enough. OP knows what to do. They literally said themselves, if any friend came up to you with this, you'd recommend divorce. So don't give yourself bad advice. Take it, because once we've seen it in many, many stories here. I can't even count how many. Like, I always picture it being surrounded in fog. You can't see past anything. And of course, you know, it looks bleak. You don't know where to go. It's confusing. But when it does happen, you get free of all this, that fog begins to lift and you can see into the future. And I really, really do wish that for you, OP. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so, so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay,